Sunday comes down to something very simple, yet very complex. Can the Arizona Cardinals stop Kupp and Puka Nacua? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alex Clancy here, Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day, free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Go to the YouTube channel, man. Subscribe. I'm almost at 3,000. I want to be LOC 3K. I hate myself. Immediately hate myself for saying that. But I don't do second takes on this show. I say what comes from the heart, and more times than not, I don't sound like a complete idiot, so it works out. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. So here's the thing. Couple things on today's show. One, what's the offense going to look like without James Conner? I'm going to talk about that in the next segment. Path to victory. This is what I do every Friday. Last segment of the week. How can the Cardinals win this game? Is this game winnable? Sure. Every game for the Cardinals has been winnable, save maybe the San Francisco game because, they're an all-star team. So there is a path to victory, which is the exact opposite of what this first segment will make it seem like. But there's a very simple question that's execution is the antithesis of simple. Complex, difficult, doesn't even scratch the surface, as wise men and women have said. Can the Arizona Cardinals stop Kupp and Puka Nacua? That's what Sunday comes down to. Just to kind of, if you haven't been watching a lot of Rams football, if you're a Cardinals, Cardinals only, that's great. All are welcome here on Locked On Cardinals. If you don't know who Puka Nacua is, that's okay. Let me tell you. Puka Nacua came from BYU, through University of Washington, played with the Huskies first. Believe he was a third-round pick, and he has been an absolute vision for the Rams with Cooper Kupp out for the first 4 weeks on IR. In the first 5 weeks of his NFL career, Puka Nacua has 46 receptions, 572 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. For the math majors, that's almost 10 receptions a week and over 100 yards receiving every week. First 5 games. He had 25 receptions in the first 2 weeks, which just shattered rookie records. Cooper Kupp, probably know who he is. Came off the IR, hamstring injury, then re-aggravated hamstring a couple weeks before the season started. They found the best fit to put him on the IR. 8 receptions, 118 yards, like he'd never skipped a beat. The Cardinals secondary, not their strong suit. This could be Armageddon's too much. This could be a very, very telling and tough day for the weakest position group on the team as currently constructed, I think. And that's not a knock on these guys. It's not. Marco Wilson plays his ass off. Control Clark plays his ass off. Antonio Hamilton plays his ass off. Jalen Thompson plays his ass off. We'll see if he's playing on Sunday. Budda Baker is still on IR. Like the secondary, it's not like these guys don't bust their ass. And the talent dispersion across the NFL as pertaining to the cornerback room specifically favors other teams much more than it does the Cardinals. For now, this is a 2-step rebuild. All of these things that I've recycled constantly over and over and over again to remind people this is a work in progress. It's been so much more fun through 5 weeks than it should have been. Like, taking a second and appreciating how much fun this Arizona Cardinals team is shows how different it is now. And when you look at things like this, you see that things are working. But the problem is not all positions can be top tier when you're doing a rebuild right away. It's just not how things work. So with that comes bumps in the road like week 6 in Los Angeles. I think going into Sunday, how can the Cardinals stop Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua? It's not so much keeping them to 6 catches for 70 yards combined. It's not about that. It's about, it's about a lot of things, but it's about how they fight back. It's about not giving up the big play. And both of these guys, Puka Nacua is more of a deep threat than Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's never really been, a 50-yard bomb down the sideline guy. He's always been the 15-yard slant, the 15-yard post, whatever it is. And his yak is just insane. What he does after catching the ball is absolutely bonkers. It's Travis Kelce-ish, where he's not the fastest guy. He knows his angles, and he can run over people that are smaller than him. And Puka Nacua is more of he is very Cooper Kupp-like, but he does have that down-the-field threat. We saw that last week when they played Philly. So how do the Cardinals stop? How do the Cardinals, clip the, the numbers and the usage for Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua? That's really the question that we're going to have to discuss here. And I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to start with the pass rush. Most of it will start with the pass rush. Marco Wilson's having a tough year against wide receiver ones. He just is. Over 130 passer rating when targeted from opposing quarterbacks. This is really where the pass rush is going to have to help. I don't know if Nick Rallis is just going to have to is going to have to cover zero, just bring the house kind of blitz packages, but this is going to be on Nick Rallis to really mask the weakness of the Cardinals roster. And unfortunately, the pass rush hasn't been great either. They were great to start the year. Dennis Gardeck has a handful of sacks, and that's good. But Zaven Collins has pretty much been non-existent from that position after the first couple weeks. And LJ Collier being out doesn't help. Jonathan Ledbetter being out doesn't help. Kazir White isn't really used in that manner as an off-ball linebacker. But they're going to have to figure it out. It's not necessarily going to be about can the corners stop those wide receivers. It's going to be how can the pass rush help the corners not have to cover for as long and potentially force Matthew Stafford into a couple mistakes in an effort to keep the Cardinals in the game. Because if there is no pass rush, this could get very ugly very quickly. And that's something you want to circumvent if at all possible. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. What's the offense going to look like without James Conner? The heartbeat of this offense so far that's really set everything else up. We'll discuss it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Jace Medical. Jace Medical. Fascinating company. Incredible company. Everybody should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace Case. The Jace Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use and gives you peace of mind. So, you're just not hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. They, again, give you 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. So you can have medication during an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have the medication in hand. Jace Medical is simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Don't get caught unprepared. Get $20 off on these life-saving antibiotics today from Jace Medical by using my code LOCKEDON at checkout at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Locked On Cardinals. Hi, I'm Alex. DM me. Everydayers, you have questions, topics you want discussed, things like that. I constantly say, I can talk 6 hours a day about the Arizona Cardinals. It's difficult to mash it into 3 topics in 25 minutes, but it's a beautiful thing what it's packaged into. But having said that, there's something special, something kind of off topic you want to discuss. I'm going to start having draft guys on probably in week 10, not because, the Cardinal season's over. So, that's not, let's look to next year. Oh, let's tank. Let's hope the Cardinals lose all the games. No. But what I want you to be informed about, that was bad English, poor English, 2 poor English things in a row, is how deep this draft is and how that's directly correlative to how many needs the Cardinals have. Sure, Marvin Harrison. Caleb Williams. To the moon. It's not that simple. And it doesn't have to be that straightforward. And we'll do that starting in about week 10. Here's your daily PSA. Enjoy the NFL season while it's here. We're already at week 6. It's wild. This is the time of year that gets overlooked. Appreciate it. Every second, pinch yourself. Yes, football. Anyways, what is this offense going to look like without James Conner? If the concept works, it should look about the same. And that's something that you can say with confidence with Drew Petzing through a handful of weeks, even though the second half against the Bengals wasn't so great, because the offense is the offense. It doesn't change. There's wrinkles, there's little trickerations, but it's the same. It's a lot of 12 personnel. It's a lot of running the ball, whether it be between the tackles or off tackle. It's a lot of play action. And, that's what it is. So with undrafted free agent out of TCU, Emari Demercado taking over, it seems him and Keontae Ingram will potentially split carries. Keontae Ingram, I believe, is still on the depth chart as RB1 right now. Who knows? Emari Demercado's had more meaningful snaps this year, more recently. And, he's looked okay. Yards per carry wasn't great last week, but it was just the game flow was weird. It a whole bunch of weird things. Not making an excuse. It's just happenstance. What will it look like? It'll look the same. Will it be run as well, as effectively? Probably not. But if it's run at 70%, that's a hell of a lot better than anybody expected this offense to look at all this year. And yeah, that's a win. This team is bad. And there are so many wins that have come along the way that it really puts into perspective. These Cardinals may be in a better spot than they thought initially. They don't look like the Carolina Panthers, disheveled. They don't look like the Minnesota Vikings, unknowing why they're losing so many games. Very Cliff Kingsbury-esque over there with Kevin O'Connell. What will this offense look like? It'll look the same, and that's awesome. So when you have a situation like this, and you've got Aaron Donald to worry about on the interior, where the interior of the offensive line, namely the left side, hasn't been great this year. Hasn't been awful, but is the weakest sector of the offensive line, with Paris Johnson and Will Hernandez on the right side doing a lot better job. It's going to be difficult. Aaron Donald has been a Cardinals killer among the other 31 teams that he doesn't play for, but namely the Cardinals. He's in the nightmares of Cardinals players, fans, coaches alike. But the thing to take away from this is, if Emari Demercado plays fine, if he can muster 70 all-purpose yards, that's enough. See if Josh Dobbs' legs are going to be utilized more this week. I was a proponent. I don't really know about other entities. I don't really pay attention. But, I was like, Josh Dobbs probably should run the ball a little bit less. He ran the ball 0 times. I think he ran the ball 3 times for negative yards, because sack yards goes against rushing yards, which is the dumbest thing in the world personally. But, Josh Dobbs didn't run the ball really at all last week. I think infusing him a little bit more, and I think Drew Petzing will probably do this, to, help with the weight of the running back position. Joshua Dobbs is probably going to run the ball a little bit more. I don't know if it's going to be RPO. I don't know if it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be design runs. I don't know what it's going to be. But if they can rush for 100 yards, you see that as a win. You see that as the proof of concept continuing. And really all you want to do with running the ball not only is to eat clock, to keep Matthew Stafford on the sidelines, long, sustained drives, hopefully ending in touchdowns, but, just wanting to end in points. is it sets up the play action, which allows maybe Michael Wilson to get more than one target that didn't happen until the fourth quarter last week. Hollywood Brown to continue his very good season, all things considered, and maybe get Trey McBride and Zach Ertz peppered some targets as well. Maybe we'll see Rondo more in the backfield. Like, this is going to start to show the creativity within the confines of the offense that Drew Petzing has. Because this is an offense with structure. This is an offense with an actual blueprint. Instead of like spitting out a spitball at a play, which is what would seem like we've had over the last 65 plus games or whatever it is. So how's the offense going to look? The same. And that's the best damn part of this whole thing. Is it going to work? We don't know. Joshua Dobbs is still not an average quarterback. He's played above average except for last week. Emari Demercado is going to get his shot. But another cool part about this, while the offense is going to look the same, I wasn't going to go here today because I didn't actually think about this. This is what happens when good things happen, when you start to do things the right way, you start to get lucky. And Isaiah Pacheco comes out of nowhere. A Kyron Williams comes out of nowhere. And Elijah Mitchell comes out of nowhere. Late round draft picks that come in and play meaningful snaps and gain meaningful yards and lead a team. Emari Demercado didn't go to a small school. He started at small school, but then he was at TCU. They were in the championship last year, I think, or they were in the playoff at least. He's played meaningful snaps in college. The dude's got some run with a high-powered offense at TCU. He's done this before. It's going to be up to the blockers. It's going to be up to the scheme. It's going to be up to the play action usability. It's going to be up to a lot of different things. But the Cardinals have done everything right on the football field since hiring Monty Osborne and Jonathan Gannon. Maybe it's their turn to get lucky. Maybe they have their RB1 of the future. That's not, like, who knows? But it's possible. And it's not just possible because he's on the roster. It's possible because he's going to get meaningful snaps when the Cardinals desperately need meaningful snaps from the running back position. If he folds, he folds. But if he doesn't, the Cardinals may have found a diamond in the rough to bolster the running back room for years to come. And that's the type of storyline that we're looking for in 2023 as they start to formulate the future roster for this organization. And it starts on Sunday with James Conner on the IR and Emari Demercado and Keontae Ingram in the backfield, probably with a little Rondo Moore as well. I mean, could be more boring. I'm going to say that sarcastically. I think it'd be a really fun thing to watch on Sunday. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. What's the path to victory? Like, how can the Cardinals get a dub and be in contention for a 6th straight week, even though they're 1-4? Let's discuss next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Prize Picks. I'm sorry, Prize Picks people. I don't know why I just said Prize Picks. Prize Picks. It's brought to you by Prize Picks. I love Prize Picks. It's the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money in the football season. You select 2 or more players, pick more or less than their projected stats, and place your entry. That's it. Simple to play. 60 seconds or less. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports. Okay, they offer weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. Prize Picks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits, even into your account this football season. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. What's the path to victory for the Arizona Cardinals? Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast, Locked On AZ Cards. Please go to the YouTube channel. Hit a like on the video. Hit that little bell to subscribe. Turn notifications on so you can see my big dumb face whenever a new podcast is up every single damn day. What's the path to victory for the Cardinals? I've highlighted a couple things. One, first and foremost, curtail Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua's output via the pass rush. This is not a battle that the secondary of the Arizona Cardinals is currently constructed can win, especially with Budda Baker not playing. It's not a knock. It's not a slight. It's the truth for where the Cardinals are in their rebuild. It's just what it is right now. The pass rush is going to be massively important for the Arizona Cardinals to stay in contention. Matthew Stafford has been known to turn over the ball when being flustered. If Matthew Stafford sits in the backfield with a clean, deep pocket and picks apart whatever he wants, whether it be Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, or Tutu Atwell, who's an 80-yard touchdown catch and run ready to happen, or Tyler Higbee, who's one of the more underrated tight ends in the league. Or I haven't even talked about Kyren Williams this entire podcast. Kyren Williams has been a touchdown machine since Cam Akers has been traded. They've got a very sneaky, light powerhouse offense brewing in Los Angeles. And this is something that the Cardinals will need to keep at bay, or they're going to get a 40-burger put up on them in every way under the sun. Deep passes, Tutu Atwell. Death by 1,000 cuts, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Goal line touchdowns, Kyren Williams. Tyler Higbee, whatever it is. This is going to be a very long day if the Cardinals cannot put pressure on Matthew Stafford. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the importance chart, or the importance list. Number 2, long sustained drives for the offense. Taking the air out of the ball. Ugly, slow football. Ugly is not necessarily fair. Slow, throwback football. Run the ball, set up play action, get first downs, take shots where necessary, but control the clock as much as possible. Well, easier said than done. Obviously, anybody could say that. Yeah, but very few teams are actually excellent at it. And the Cardinals have done a very good job, more times than not this season, controlling the clock. They were on the field for, yikes, I think a third of the game last week. Last week was tough. Let's see what they can do at SoFi Stadium. They've had success. They've had some embarrassment and everything in between at this arena or at this stadium. Control the clock. Run the ball. Use your wrinkles. Drew Petzing with the run game. Set up the play action. Joshua Dobbs needs to go back to being surgical, moving the ball down the field, and the Cardinals can win this game. And the third one, and teams with less talent than other teams, there's no margin for error when it comes to the turnover battle. There just isn't. They just can't turn the ball over. And it's so unfair. It's a very difficult task to just not turn the ball over. But any turnover, especially one that leads to points, is like, well, there's no safety net for the Cardinals this year. They've got to win the turnover battle. And it's not even like, oh, well, okay, so if the Rams turn the ball over twice and the Cardinals turn the ball over once, then they win the turnover battle. Sure, but the Cardinals converting turnovers into points is astronomically more difficult than this Rams offense turning turnovers into points. Asking Joshua Dobbs to be perfect, asking Emari Demercado to not fumble the ball, asking any of the players to not fumble the ball. It's an irrational ask, but it's what needs to happen for the Cardinals to stay in the game. It just is. They don't have the talent to be able to overcome short fields right now. Pass rush, long sustained drives, win the turnover battle. And the Cardinals may find themselves with their second win of the season after the game's over on Sunday. Alex Clancy, Locked on Cardinals. I will talk to you on Monday.